Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, having had just recently participated in the 2024 Pokemon Go event, it got me thinking about a lot of the things that I've enjoyed throughout the Pokemon main series. I have played the series since original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow games. So I wanted to give my opinions on what I think are the best and maybe some of the worst features of each game. um, I'll include a lot of things that you may agree with, some things that you may disagree with. But I thought it was a good time to make this video as well because, you know, there's a lot of Pokemon whose name I don't remember. And I feel like this wasn't always the case. It's not just because of the larger number of Pokemon now, but some of them are just not that appealing that maybe a lot of you also forgot about. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started on this video. If you have any differing opinions, just let us know in the comment section as well. Okay, so to help me out, go throughout this whole process, I have Cerebi.net here. For those of you that don't know, this is a really great website to catch up on Pokemon, on games, on any news, events, and whatnot. I usually use this website to look up new games that may be coming out, or maybe if there's certain things that I want to know. For example, when I play a new main game, usually me and my friend will go ahead and split our teams into 6 or 12, and then that way we don't use the same Pokemon for when we do play with each other. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So Pokemon Red and Blue, I'm also including Fire Red, Leaf Green, and any remakes into this series. So what I liked about Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, well, first of all, it's the first game released that I played in the Pokemon series. It not only brought me forward to seeing what Pokemon is, what the Pokemon were, but overall, I felt that it was an overall great game to play through. Not only did you have to progress and kind of think about what Pokemon you were going to use, especially with the gyms. I believe that the first gym or the first two gyms can be a little bit difficult depending on the starter that you get. I do apologize for any ads that just keep popping up. So, for example, if you chose Charmander in the beginning, you were probably going to have a hard time going through Brock, which is a first gym leader. And then, of course, if you have somebody like Squirtle, maybe even Bulbasaur, they might have had some moves that can help you out. And then this could be true for the beginning as much as for, mid game or late game. So it didn't obviously, it was important which Pokemon you chose. But yeah, I think overall the gameplay was pretty good, pretty nice. It was very well thought out as a game in itself. So that is one of the things that I did enjoy. There isn't many things that I didn't enjoy about the game. I think the only thing that I particularly didn't enjoy about the game was that at some points the game would be glitchy, and then you could possibly lose your save the game. So that was one of the things that I do remember. Hopefully, it never happened to you, but overall, it was a pretty good game. It had a lot of Pokemon for sure. It was 150, 151 Pokemon. So you had a lot to choose from, right? Who could also forget about the legendary trio? And then, of course, once you beat the Elite Four, which was also an additional challenge after collecting all gym badges, right? Going to try to collect Mewtwo. That was pretty cool, kind of like a last boss type of situation. Once you play the remakes, obviously they added the Sevi Islands with additional Pokemon and challenges. So yeah, overall, pretty good standard um, idea of what a video game like Pokemon should include, right? You also have to remember good old Team Rocket. They made a good impression on me, and I remember having to battle them. So not only worry about making sure that I had enough um, health for my Pokemon, money, and all that, but ensuring that I was also able to defeat them without getting wiped out, and then starting from a fresh city or whatnot, right? You had Giovanni, which is very memorable. Not only was he the boss, but then later on he turned out to be a gym leader. That was a nice plot twist. Yeah, and then you also had your rival, which actually felt like a rival. I feel like once the Pokemon games kind of progressed, the whole rival thing kind of got disregarded. But yeah, overall, he was a great person to kind of go up against. And then you also remember, right, that once you both completed the gym badges, he ends up winning the Elite Four, and then you immediately challenge it and break his whole dreams apart. Overall, it was very significant and a very cool thing to go through. Okay, so now we are starting with Generation 2, which includes gold, silver, and then the combination of both crystal version. So once this version came out, it's actually the one that I remember the most. Why? Because it had probably the most unique feature out of all the games, which is allowing you to return to the first generation. Of course, after completing all the 8 gyms, I felt like overall this was phenomenal, right? Being able to challenge all the gym leaders, going back to Cannel to challenge them. And then later on down the road, you get to challenge who else but the main man himself, Red. That was a great plot twist. Overall, it had a lot of gameplay. The Pokedex for Pokemon Gold was hefty. It had a lot of Pokemon for sure. There were a few of the Pokemon that I didn't particularly enjoy, but I did also like that they had additional evolutions included in their Pokedex for the first generation, that is. So as you can see here, we have all of our Pokemon. I feel like the starters themselves are pretty cool. Kind of something that you would expect from the series, right? I really enjoyed using for alligator just because it looked like a dinosaur slash crocodile. Some of them were kind of mediocre, such as Ladian. But of course, I didn't use that Pokemon, so it was kind of like whatever to me. And then seeing the new Eevee evolutions, Umbreon has been a favorite of mine for a while as well. Was pretty cool. Scissor as well, an evolution of Scyther. That was nice to see. So this generation really got you eager to see, right? Like what new Pokemon are they gonna come out? Are they gonna improve on the old ones? And a lot of them did. And then you have some of the baby Pokemon that came out as well as other evolutions. The legendaries, for sure, some of the most memorable. For me, particularly Raikou, I really like Raikou. And then you got the Behemoth Tyranitar, which is still a main Pokemon that you use, including Pokemon Go. And then one of my favorite legendaries, Ho-Oh. Lugia, of course, is really cool as well, but Ho-Oh has always stayed with me. So yeah, overall, a really good amount of new Pokemon to use. Now, one of the things that I do remember from this, the gym leaders for this region not using the new generation Pokemon. For some reason, from what I remember, the gym leaders themselves used a lot of the Gen 1 Pokemon, and I wasn't sure why. As you can see here, you have the first gym leader, which is the flying gym leader, using Pidgeys and Pidgeotos rather than somebody like Hoo or something like that. Then you get the second one, which uses all Gen 1 bug type Pokemon. Again, Ladian and Ladybug were nothing to cry home about, but yeah, it was odd choices. Oh, and don't even get me started on Whitney and her use of Miltank. It was such an issue. Um, I don't know why it was level 20 Miltank, yet it was very difficult to kind of overcome. And then you got a few of them which are kind of understanding, I suppose. But yeah, overall, just not using more second generation Pokemon are kind of what got me not to like certain aspects of this game, even though it was very great. As you can see here, Claire uses 3 Dragonairs, which is absurd, but okay. But yeah, overall, a really great game. Okay, so we move on to Gen 3. Gen 3 is probably the game that I remember the most out of the Pokemon series. I also feel like it's the game that I played the most. Overall, it was a very great game as well. I know it says a lot, but it was a good game. Had a lot of good Pokemon. It had a lot of good features. One of the features that I did enjoy was being able to make bases and then having friends later come challenge you. It was actually a way that I believe I trained a lot of my Pokemon to level 100. Um, yeah, overall, it's the one that I do remember the most. The characters were also very memorable, including Steven. And I think there's not a lot of negativity about the game. However, one of the things that I do remember not enjoying is that you weren't able to transfer some of your Pokemon from the first two generations until later on. I believe they allowed you to do it. Oh, another thing is that I remember there being too much water. There was overall too much water in the game, and I didn't really enjoy that. Let me go ahead and show you what the map looks like for those that actually have not played this gem yet. Okay, so this is a map here in itself. Hopefully you can see it well. To me, I feel like there was just too much water. You had to surf everywhere. I didn't quite enjoy that just because I feel like it took away from the whole game. Of course, there's a couple of or there's big pieces of land here, but just going through here, I feel like most of the time I had to use max repels just to stop Pokemon from appearing so much. A thing that I did enjoy about the game is that they had the whole secret with the Reggies, right? Where you had to kind of go to each section to catch some. That was pretty cool. Latios and Latias kind of floating around and you having to get them. That was a little annoying, but it wasn't bad. The whole villain thing about Team Magma or Team Aqua wanting to have more land or kind of flood the land more was okay, I suppose. But if you kind of had some type of intellect, you would question your reason as to doing that, right? Like, why would you flood the whole world? It's gonna be horrible. And then again, why would you drought the whole world? It's gonna be horrible as well. If we go back here, we can kind of see what includes or what Cerebi includes as Gen 3. We have Emerald, which was a combination of both. I did like the whole beef that Kyogre and Groudon had, and then Rayquaza kind of being the one to put them away or calm them down. As you can see, there's a lot of games here. Of course, you can't forget about the whole anime series as well. But again, we're trying to just focus on the main games. However, these two were great as well. And yeah, if we look at the Pokemon, they had a large number of Pokemon that were also very well used. Sceptile, whatever you want to name it. Um, is one of my favorite Pokemon as well. It's just an overall good Pokemon, I feel like. And then later on, you kind of get the Mega Evolutions, Blaziken, Swampert. These are all great starters, and they might actually be one of my favorite starters in all the games. You got a lot of different variety of Pokemon that you could use. Also, like Breloom looks like a little dinosaur. Slocking, very menacing. That so much that they had to kind of stop him a little bit, right? By making him having to wait a turn or two every so often. Yeah, overall, it was a really good game. Flygon, again, one of my a few favorites. I still don't understand why they haven't given him a Mega Evolution, him, her. But yeah, overall, a really good game. Groudon, one of my favorites as well. But yeah, I'd like to hear what else you might have to say about this. And then let's go ahead and continue. Okay, as we move on to Generation 4, I did have to kind of recollect what the whole game is about. But obviously Diamond and Pearl, there's a new Pokemon like always. Some of them were notable, such as Infernape. I probably feel like Infernape is the one that most people remember there. I use Empoleon myself, and I had a good time using Empoleon, especially with the typing. There were other cool Pokemon in the game, and especially Garchomp and Lucario. And then there were some additional evolutions that we kind of needed for uh, Gen 1, Gen 2. Um, some of them obviously included Electivire and Magmortar. Tangrowth is kind of a hit or miss with me. Rhyperior as well. I feel like Rhydon, it was really cool. And then once I saw Rhyperior, I was like, okay, I can see why they went this route, but they could have done, I feel like, so much more. Togekiss, they just destroyed. uh Togepi, I feel like, I mean, the second evolution also wasn't anything good, but sure, Yamega was a pretty good addition, at least for me. And then yeah, let's just go down to the legendaries. Alga and Palkia are very good Pokemon that a lot of people remember. You have the Gigas combination of, let's say, all the Regis, and then of course Giratina, however you pronounce that. It's also a very good Pokemon. And then you have the mythical Pokemon such as Darkrai, Shaman, and Arceus. You have specific missions, let's say, or stories for them, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I did like that they added that in there. I also like that you can actually get some of these Pokemon, such as a Fion or a Manaphy egg, from other games. I thought that the integration went along well, pretty well. Again, they all kind of have their stories, at least for the legendaries. Um, the let's say the sibling legendaries such as Uxie, Elsa, Mesprit, um, they didn't really appeal to me too much. Honestly, if they weren't here, I'd be cool with it. So Diamond and Pearl, I do recall that it seemed to take a while. The battles seemed to take forever. I think because the health bar, whatever the animations were just very slow. But once you got into Platinum, they kind of fixed that. So that was pretty good. We have the Sinnoh Underground, which was a fun little mini game. You know, you got to make your base, just like in Gen 3. And you got to dig a few fossils here and there for items. That was pretty cool. It wasn't something that I thought was, remotely one of the most important or most incredible updates, but it was a little bit something extra to do, right? And then it was also nice that no matter where you were in the map, you would appear somewhere else underground. We have the gyms, which honestly weren't too memorable for me. At least I don't even feel like I recall most of these gyms. So yeah, for me it was whatever. We have the whole Sinnoh gym here as well, and actually I thought I saw a bigger one. No, it's the same size. The map was pretty big. It wasn't too bad, so you got a lot to do. And overall, yeah, I feel like it was a pretty decent game. Some of the things that I would definitely have liked or that I didn't actually like again is that the game itself seemed to be really slow, especially in Diamond and Pearl. But overall, I feel like it was a pretty good game, at least for my take. Okay, so we move on to the next generation, Generation 5, which includes Pokemon Black and White, and then, of course, the two ones that came after. For sure, one of the things that stuck out to me the most were the Black 2 and White 2 versions, not only because they brought a lot of updates to them, but also because they were actual sequels from the first two games, which I believe we hadn't seen since Gen 2. That was nice to see how things change, right? Because a lot of the times, and I think for most of the series, in the video game series, that is, um, you just get a lot of remakes. So it's a lot of maybe um, upgrading the designs, the whole map, the sprites and whatnot, but you don't actually get much more involving, let's say, the story. So this one actually took 2 years after the events of Black and White, and they got a lot of things changed within the region itself, as well as with a lot of the characters. If we jump onto the gyms, though, honestly, I don't feel like I remember any of these gyms. Maybe their sprites look familiar, but besides that, it was nothing really that stuck out to me. A lot of these were kind of like meh to me, to be honest. The gyms weren't memorable. Um, the Team Plasma wasn't memorable at all for me as well. So yeah, for me, these were kind of like, I don't even remember this scene here. Just to put it blunt. Bluntly, for me, it was just kind of like whatever. The whole enemy was kind of whatever. I do remember Gas, I think is his name. This person here, Gestis, and the whole fusion of the legendary Pokemon. But besides that, they just weren't as memorable as, let's say, Gen 1, Gen 2, or Gen 3. We go over here to the legendary Pokemon, the Swords of Justice Pokemon. Honestly, they didn't stick out there too much for me. We do have obviously the box legendaries. These were pretty cool. We have Curum. The whole thing about him fusing with them was unique as well. And then we have, of course, some of our older legendaries as well. This is for the second version. And then we also got a lot of Pokemon, but they really weren't anything that stuck out like too much, if that makes sense. So if you look up here, it looks like we got about 150 new Pokemon, but a lot of these were not too cool in my perspective. I liked Samura for sure, but from the starters, it was just kind of like, whatever. We go down, we get these monkeys that seem to start off, pretty decent. This one evolves into something cool, but then you get these two, and I'm just kind of like, no. Um, yeah, a lot of these Pokemon were kind of like whatever. I did use them here and there, but overall, they didn't stick out too much. I did like Chandelier, Haxorus. You kind of have to go towards the bottom to kind of like see all the good ones. Like Hydreigon, that one's pretty cool. Volcarona, our first bug fire, I believe. Again, these didn't stick out too much. These also didn't stick out too much. I'm not sure. Oh, here's Slendoris. Yeah, these weren't that cool. Meloetta wasn't either. Genesect was pretty decent, especially in the movie with Mewtwo and whatnot. But yeah, overall it was kind of like a whatever type of situation, at least for the new Pokemon. And then last but not least, we also have the map, which it was actually pretty extensive. I feel like the game did take quite a while to beat, but again, besides that, it was kind of whatever. You believe these were some of the few Pokemon games that didn't have any kind of, let's say, remakes, follow-ups, or anything like that. But with Pokemon X and Y, we did get to experience a new map with better graphics, of course. And then if we look at the map itself, it was pretty decent. I actually don't recall if the map itself was large or not. It looks large, but for some reason, I feel like the game was short. Maybe it's just my memory itself. But yeah, if we go into the biggest addition of the game, it is of course the Mega Evolutions. We got new Pokemon with new forms upon meeting certain conditions, right? And then using the Mega Stones, you would get the new and improved Pokemon themselves. Something that did stick out was obviously the cool new forms that a lot of them did get. But then another thing is that I felt like a lot of them didn't really need it. A lot of these Pokemon that got the Mega Evolutions were already strong enough as it is, and I feel like it kind of just made everything kind of go out of hand, if that makes sense. Because now you have an even beastier Pokemon to use, right? But I'm not complaining about it. Well, I kind of am, but at the same time, it's kind of like a good and a bad. At least for me, obviously, you have cool new forms. Mega Charizard X was one of my favorites. You also have cool other forms like Mega Gengar, Mega Alakazam. You have Mega Gyarados, and even Mega Pinsir looks cool. Then you have other ones that are you're just like, why? Who chose this? Like, what? How did this get through? Like, what were the standards for choosing who to give them to? So you have Mega Kangaskhan, which I mean, do you need a Mega Stone? Can maybe this has been explained before, but can your baby here, which should probably be a Pokemon in itself, not move out of there unless you have a Mega Stone? Is it stuck there forever? How does it eat? Do you feed it? Do you not feed it? Um, yeah, honestly, this I had no reason why they chose it. There's a lot of better options. For example, Mega Flygon, which we still haven't gotten for some reason. And then you get Mega Aerodactyl. It could have been given a lot more could have been done with it. You got Mega Mewtwo X, which is psychic fighting. Honestly, no, this one either. Mega Mewtwo Y. You should have just like combined them and made Mega Mewtwo, like whatever. Mega Ampharos. Honestly, like why again? Why this design? I didn't like it. Mega Scizor. The design isn't too good either. It could have been a lot cooler. Scissor in itself looks cool, but then you do this and it looks bulky. Um, Kind of not needed, I suppose. Mega Heracross. Yeah, at least you can pass by this one. Mega Houndoom. Sure, it gives it a little bit more design. Mega Tyranitar. It looks pretty cool. So yeah, that's all right. Mega Blaziken looks cool. Mega Gardevoir. Eh. Mega Mawile. Sure, why not? Mega Aggron. So yeah, I didn't quite like this one. Medicham, I don't know why we have this one here. Manectric, Banette. Absol looks alright. But yeah, a lot of these, I guess they needed a little boost, but I would have preferred maybe an evolution, rather than, Mega Evolution. Mega Garchomp is already overkill. Lucario's already overkill. Mega Abomasnow, sure, why not? But yeah, again, like I mentioned before, this was kind of like the good and the bad about this, generation. Um, I just really want to be able to speak to whoever's in charge of allowing mega evolutions. I feel like I've heard a lot of good things from viewers and from, you know, Reddits or whatever it is about different decisions and different Pokemon that could have used this better. The gym leaders themselves, they weren't too cool. Maybe it's me as well, but I feel like they had a little bit of Pokemon. I would have liked to for it to be honest to start off slow, maybe like two Pokemon, I guess, and go to three, four, and then a full team eventually. And maybe that is what they're going for, right? Two, three. But I don't know. It seemed like a lot of them had a little bit of Pokemon towards the end. So by gym number five, we should already have four, five, and then finally maybe six. But no, that's not what we had. So that was something that kind of sucked. The Team Flare and then the other team, or was it only Team Flare? Yeah, they were whatever as well. Honestly, they they just didn't stick out enough. The Elite Four was okay. It wasn't too challenging from what I recall. Um, yeah, I don't remember it being too challenging except for maybe the last one because of Mega Carnivore. But yeah, that was decent. The legendary Pokemon, we only got like a few legendaries, I think. Was it just these three and then that's it? I think that was it. Yeah, the legendaries were okay. I like Evolto, especially the shiny version of that one. And then if we move over to the Pokemon themselves, we barely got any new Pokemon. As you can see here, I think we got 71 new Pokemon. And a lot of the designs weren't too cool. Greninja was pretty cool. Everybody else was kind of whatever. We got Agus Slash. That one was really cool actually. But a lot of these again didn't stick out too much. Some of them are like, okay, yeah, I can see why you made them. Tyrantrum actually was is one of my favorite just because it's a big T Rex, of course. And then you get others kind of like the Dene, which I'm kind of like whatever. Gudra is okay, but I feel like the design could have been better instead of just like a slimy dragon. Klefki, like honestly, somebody, had like a key ring or something and said, hey, what if my keys got possessed? Probably lost his keys and said, hey, what if a ghost possessed my keys or something like that? We got the fairy typing. I don't remember if this was when it was introduced, but kind of like in Generation 2, we got, I believe, the dark typing. So that was unique. That was nice to get a new typing. I think it was until later that a lot of the older Pokemon got their typings changed from let's say normal to fairy, which a lot of them make sense. And actually, I did like Trevenant's cool, Gorgeist is cool, Norvern is cool as well. Um, Volcanion, I don't even remember what the story is there, but it's fire water. Hoopa, I do remember that it can summon a bunch of legendaries. I believe that happened in the movie. Zygarde has a different forms, which are okay. But yeah, this generation was overall okay. The biggest factor being Mega Evolution for sure. Okay, so I feel like the video has gone on long enough. What I'll go ahead and do is cut the video here. I will make it into two parts, so please go ahead and continue on to the second part. The videos should be coming out on the same day, if not at least a day from each other. Let me know what you think about this video. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.